credits. So we have presented the table and the distribution of hours according to the points and the generics. I think that one we finished. I don't know whether we are free to go to the other table of comments where we have changed.
Thank you very much. When it comes to that generic study skills and academic writing, so what you should have in biological should be similar to this one. So it should be useful, because when the teaching and learning for that course is taking place, they will be in the same place. And they will be having it at the same time. And the teacher is basically the same. Even on the timetabling, because it is a cross-cutting course, on the timetabling, it should be appearing for the two groups at the same time. And everything should be uniform for the cross-cutting courses.
So that is the that is the
so like the biological, what was the grade for biological? It was 10. So they are the same. Yes. You gave them?
No, we realized no, they are just
yes, that is the life skills and ethics. Perfect.
I can be fair. After realizing what you have explained, that it is a cross-cutting thing, so we had to come and check what they had, and they gave us. We thank you very much.
so
Very intelligent class.
so for the second semester we had the physics practical, the practicals, and since we said that the practicals are related within, it is continuous with the teaching, so we moved it and we replaced it with the ethics and first aid in the second semester. So I think that is the table for the table is now okay. So these are suggested areas of improvement. Yes, please. So areas for improvement and the suggested improvement here. Physics practicals, as I have already told you, practicals should be removed because with continuous physical curriculum, learning is embedded with the practice. That's why we removed it. Then ethics and first aid should be included because effective domains, because of the effective domains of learning. Effective domains of learning. Remember, yesterday we talked about psychomotor, affective, and cognitive. So ethics should be included because of affective domains of values. And first aid should be included to enhance the psychomotor skills in the case of injuries and
Actually, ethics as a course does not only deal with the psychomotor, rather than it has the knowledge, because the learner must know certain things. It has the psychomotor, they should practice certain things, and still has, because it is a course, so it should be having all of them. However, when they are teaching, when they are doing every other course, they should have the implementation of these ethics assessed in the affective way. Yeah.
so we went ahead and developed the objectives for the ethics that we have included, ethics and the first aid, and these are the objectives. I go through the objectives.
No.
No,
So these are the objectives for the ethics and first aid that we have included. And that's it. Then lastly, we looked at the course outline of ethics and the table or the breakdown on how it is supposed to be done. And the assessment of that procedure. So I think it ends here.
Thank you very much. This is a very, very great improvement. Within a short time. And unfortunately, most of your courses were not yet structured, so you have a little bit to know what to do. But it is a matter of sharing and from the different groups. These people here will be consulted, they get ideas from you, get from them, so that the curriculum is complete. And I also want to say that we all agree that one, it is hard to edit your own work. Very hard. So normally when you develop a document, if you have someone that can look through, that can create that time to look through, that would be the best before it is forwarded. And for example, the one I shared, I saw there is Master of Science in chemistry. Learned the difference between criticism and critiquing. Critiquing is positive. You help people to become better rather than criticism. Don't criticize, critique. Help the person to be better. So we would teach and then they watch your lesson and tell you here you would have done like this, you would have improved here, you would have improved here. For growth, we should accept critique. For everything, we should avoid criticism because you don't know what this person is going through. Before I got married, should I continue? Before I got married, of course I used to judge people, you see how people are behaving and so on, because normally in science we teach the ideal gases and the real gases. If you know assumptions that make ideal gases, they are basically free. Negligible intermolecular forces of attraction. The gaseous molecules occupy negligible volume, and the collisions are perfectly elastic, meaning that they collide and don't lose energy. That is ideal. But such gases are not real. The other ones are real. And another name for ideal gases is perfect gas. Then another one for real, unfortunately, is imperfect. And real means that they do exist, they are real gases. Ideal gases, with those assumptions, they never exist. They are built on assumptions that if there was to be a perfect gas, it would be behaving like this. So, in the unmarried situation I was in, I was like an ideal gas, assumptions. When I get married, it will only be laughing day and night. Going out over the weekend, you know you have money, you are moving around and so on. But when you get married, you discover that the molecules actually occupy a big volume, that you will disagree and you see a big house becoming too small for the two of you to occupy. You run outside the gate. The collisions are real, you collide and lose energy. You don't want to look at each other at one point. And many other things. So this life has taught me. But then at another point where in love, you be like, but anyway, why were we fighting? What had happened? But then the situation comes again and again and again. So in real life, what I'm trying to say is that there is nothing that is perfect, there is nothing that is ideal. Each one of us has a weakness. We accept our weaknesses. We accept what we don't know and we accept to learn. The earlier we accept that, the better. And people will always judge. No matter how best you're performing, people will use the good that you have to discourage you. But something that I've put in my heart to reach where I am and that keeps me moving is that as long as I'm doing the right thing, I just move forward, no matter what you say. Whether in my family, whether at workplace, whether at work. And no matter how you say a statement, whether you say it negatively, judging me, whether you say it positively, encouraging me, I want to learn. I will listen. I will not cry. I will listen and learn from what you say. Because there are people who speak points in a different way. Like sometimes when you are in marriage and you are not in a relationship, you want to prove a point. So even when the person is speaking, you want to speak in a negative way. But if it is a positive point and it can help you, take it up no matter how the person has said it. So, but the change begins with us. If there is someone that is to bring ethics back, it's us. I normally look at this if for us parents, you go to visit your child at school, or you go to visit your sister at school, and you know that this school does not allow cooked food. But because you have a handbag, you buy boiled eggs, you buy chapatis and hide them. And if you are ready, your bag is a little bit private. Put them under certain things which they don't easily touch. And then, this child, remember, is aware that these are not allowed in school. And then you bring them. What values are you teaching this child? What is the child learning from you to begin with? Love. You can do anything for that. And they end up committing suicide because the boyfriend has charged them.
Bad attitudes, bad behaviors, and character.
Very many things, yeah, true. So, the things we do to our children, to our beloved, even in the sacred, let us try to have these values so that we can transfer them. Because they normally say that you can't give what you don't have. You can promise. The book I subscribe to, which is the Bible says that faith without work is dead. As a body without spirit is dead, so it is. And love is corrective.
There is a request. Just want to give a recap. There's a mention of English at the end of nursing. Which something. I just want to give a recap just for 5 minutes. Yeah. You are asking about the program structure in terms of the credits, the national hours. So this is what it is. If we are looking at the credit is developed basing on the directed learning hours, which we call the DH, abbreviated as the DH, and then self-learning hours, SH, assessment learning hours, AH, and other learning hours, OH. And together, this is what we call the notional hours. Okay? We call them the notional hours. Now, when we work on assessment, that one is what is constituting the directed learning hours. Then, when we talk about self-study learning hours, what we integrate as SH, we are talking about the independent learning activities. And that is just to make them to deepen their understanding. And also, the emphasis is to have that independence in the learning, and then they take the responsibility, which includes the preparation, follow-up work, additional reading and practice, problem solving and practice research, and other readings where they learn. And then the portfolio, where sometimes you can go in the lab, you have your work uncompleted, the following day you go and complete it and like that, and then you keep the record of it. What we call the assessment learning hours, we are looking at the activities, normal contact hours and self-study. We talk about supervised placements and then the practice hours. School placements, professional placements, like you can put maybe students in maybe an health center where they can practice their profession, or academic conferences, workshops, and seminars. So that's what we call as hours. So that when you're planning to know the components. And Dr. Hamilton yesterday, he said that 1 credit is the same as 10 national hours. And I think now that's what we're based on. At this point now we all understand. Yesterday it was a bit difficult because we are not practicing how to, that hands-on, you can see how hands-on is very important. It deepens your understanding about something. Because we talked about it. Now I'm talking about it, it's now. And a credit is a measure which is used to reflect the relative weight of a given course towards the fulfillment of the program. So if you have 10 credits, it means it's 100 national hours. And if you have 12 credits, not you, correct? That's just a mistake. If it's just 10 credits, 12 credits, that's 120 national hours. And then, when you're planning for this, you have to look at, first of all, the available time. Otherwise, you can develop a program which needs more than 24 hours a day. And yet, we only have 24 hours in 1 day. So the available time, we assume we are going to teach for 15 weeks. The semester runs for 17 weeks. So we are going to teach for 15 weeks, and then there are 2 weeks for examination. So in the 15 weeks, we're going to teach for 5 days, and then in a day, we teach for 8 hours. That is our assumption. And then we have 600 hours. That is it.
Is it an assumption or a standard?
It's a standard.
Is it an assumption or a standard?
It's a standard.
8 hours.
Yeah, if you what time do you come to work? Up to? What time? How many hours? Yes, that's the assumption we're making.
Is that assumption? I'm sorry, but you were 8 hours. Okay, let's count there. From 8 to 9,
1,
9, 10,
2,
10 to 11,
3,
11 to 12,
there's no break.
12 to 1,
5,
then 2 to 3, we have removed the lunch break. Then 3 to 4,
7,
4 to 5.
8.
No, we are saying available time.
But reading that one about Dr. Tim, I don't think the university timetable has a break. You have?
No, it is actually not supposed to be there.
This is the first time. Universities normally have lunch break. Most universities I've seen they have only
Actually, lectures can go from 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. It's only between 12 and 1.
Yeah, that was what only break like this timetable.
And we are trying to make the realistic assumption. Okay? And we are just saying available time.
But still,
And that available time is 6. And that available time is for directed learning hours. I'm not including the self-study, and so that's available time that you can use. You can use within that time, all right? But you're not going to use all of it. You're not going to say you're coming here from 8 and you're going to teach from 8 up to 5 non-stop. It's not possible. But I'm just giving you the time it is available to you, so that you don't go beyond that time. If you exhaust it all, I don't think that you'll be fair. Then, available time for the notional hours. Are we together? This is a very important part. Notional hours, remember, includes the time for assessment as well. Okay? So you bring in the 2 weeks for examination. Okay? So the total, and remember the notional hours, it includes the directed learning hours, the self-study, and all that. Now, we look at 17 weeks. Then times 7 days in a week. Because it includes the self-study, other hours, the fields, and all that. Okay? And then we have 24 hours in one day. And that gives us 2,856 hours. That's the total amount of time in a semester. And if you teach for these hours, that means you're going to teach from you're going to teach for 24 hours every day for 17 weeks, no sleeping. Alright? Yes, but now we are just giving you the, because these students need this time to go and do self-study where you're not there. They need this time if they're going for field placement. They need this time if they're going to do other research seminars and so on. So that is also available time for notional hours. The other one is for directed learning hours. So when you're planning, you plan between there. Okay. Yesterday, Dr. Annington told you the total credits for this is 120. And then the total national hours 1,200. And then this program is for 1 year, 2 semesters. And this is what you could transfer. I'm just giving you as an example what you could transfer in that table. Although it is lacking in the prerequisites or the prerequisite courses, maybe the skills and so on. So you can have the course name, you can have the course codes, GEN for 1121. You can have the level, that is year 1, semester 1. You can have the category, that is generic. If it is biology, you can say thematic. Maybe, or if it is calculus, mathematics, you can also say thematic. And then the directed learning hours, you can call it as TH, and then you pick that. You have your DH in your course of mix. You pick that DH and put there. For this particular course, you pick the self, the SH, and put there. You pick the AH and you put there. You pick the OH and you put there. And then the total national hours indicate there and the credits you indicate. But you can also indicate the prerequisite process. Is that the thing which I've missed out in this? So you will just transferring what is in that course metrics. You get it? Now, values and attitudes. I've just given this as some of the examples of values and attitudes because sometimes you may think of what value the man is going to give. You can look at analytical skills, or you can look at innovation, problem solving skills, teamwork, communication, precision, accuracy, error propagation, integrity. Integrity, paying attention to detail, critical thinking, flexibility, creativity, all that. Those are the values you derive. So I think that is what one of the participants requested me to do. I think, answer? Yes.
For HR's consumption, she has been here this time. On the other list, she's wondering which hours does she consider for paying her extra. She doesn't want us.
So how was it for?
Paying. Deducting hours. When she's complaining.
Paying, when she's paying. Paying like someone on part-time?
Yeah.
Or when you're paying, you pay according to what how you have paid someone. All the time.
No, but no, the assessment.
What about the assessment hours?
You can't pay the. We are doing
What happened? What happened? What happened? Some universities.
It is part of what?
Some universities.
Is that what part of what?
No, he said, this is very important.
Yeah. The engagement is gone. And then it's time to go. Then you go to class to teach, and that's what is included. But then when it comes to assessment, because it's taken to be part of your duties, because you have to give a feedback. Okay? So they can only give maybe allowances and so on, but in the amplifier, that is part of it. Because now you give the feedback. So, so that is what I do. But
I think I would little bit the fact I will think differently, and this is the thinking. You see, in competence-based education, we are not reducing the content. We are not reducing, or we are not taking away the time that we are reducing the time we can engage with the learner. Because basically what we are teaching in 3 hours, we may now reduce to 1 hour or 2 hours. But if we are to implement that, you are teaching the same content. It means you will take too much time preparing. So that this learner, even when he goes out, will do the work he's supposed to do. So meaning that the time I take preparing is compensated by the self-study. If you don't prepare well, then the learner will not do self-study that is meaningful. So I would think it is still the same labor, the same load that is on the lecturer. Because even if you did come to class, the learners won't have self-study. So that means that the self-study is still, yes, the learners are doing the work themselves, but it is from you, the lecturer, guiding them. And the one who doesn't prepare will not know how to direct them. So that means that this person is not, is not having the right of the SH. But if a lecturer prepares well, I actually, in competence-based, we want to see the lecturer reducing all the time is roughing up students. And then the students are learning. It is not that the lecturer is running out from class, but the lecturer is helping the learners discover more by themselves and much as this time is not standard. Because we have like other hours. That is what I want to use as an example. Other hours is experiential learning, placement, conferences, and so on. Don't you reward them using that other hours? Of course they are. So I would say, for me, if I'm management, I'm thinking, I will see how to now, because everything is changing, I see how to incorporate that change.
I am proposing her to use the directed and half.
You are going
No.
But
what happens? It's if a course student is the traditional. If a person is say like it's 45 contact hours, okay, the lecturer is paid at the end based on 45 contact hours. But now we are no longer using the contact hours. Okay? In total, we are using the national hours because everything about learning is embedded within there. So what can happen is this. Some adjustments can be done. Okay? Some adjustments can be done where, because now the national hours is more than, remember we're talking about the minimum of 90 and then the maximum of 150. Okay? So if the cost, this cost that we have adjusted was for 45 hours, and it was attracting this. Then there is some adjustment that can still be made, and then you can make the unit national hour cost to be a little bit higher, not the same as the other one, because if you put it the same, the amount is going to escalate maybe in the triple. Imagine if it was 45, now it has gone to 90. Okay. Maybe you're paying probably, let's say 3, 4, 5 million. It has doubled. Go to 10, it has changed to 120. So there's a way you need to balance. Look at the change, look at what you want to maintain. Maybe you say, okay, with the competency base, there's a little bit more work added in here. So if maybe per hour I was paying 50, now I can make it, but then we have to consider the amount of time, okay? In fact, you can reduce the state, okay? Reduce it so that when you multiply, it is slightly goes beyond what the lecturer or what the instructor was getting. If the instructor was getting 5 million, you can make it such a way that you can go maybe 5.1 or 6. Or 6. I'm just giving another example. At least 5.1 is beyond 5 or 6 or something. Yeah. So, and that's something that can motivate. Yeah.
Actually, the risk is if you only pay for contact for direct hours, there is a risk of remaining tradition. A person comes with the usual notes, gives the students, and goes out. But if you consider the whole package and you see how to consolidate as an institution, that would be the best approach. So that that would even help in monitoring whether the competencies are being achieved. That is where, so that means that the administration also has to do work. Yeah, to make sure that they make sure that the teaching, when the teaching is taking place, indeed the competencies are being achieved. Rather than if you are saying that for you are being paid by DH, it backfires. It backfires, it takes us back to the old.
Actually, let me thank you on behalf of the presentation team to be part of this. Because this is a private university, and it is very important for you to understand so that you come up with the proper modalities of payment. Because all we need, learning must take place. Because in competency-based curriculum, there is more learning than teaching. Teaching is less, but then there is more learning. But then the instructor or the facilitator should be the one who facilitates this learning process. To facilitate the learning process so that a lot of learning takes place. As learning, then assessment for learning. Okay? You assess in order to facilitate the what? The next course of learning. So all that is included in it. And if you only pay direct, where you can't do that. Because that time for direct is very little time. Yes. So, but learning takes all these other 100 notional hours. Yeah, so, but you could sit down and look at what you have, and then you get the unit cost per hour. Unit cost per hour. But of course, it won't be the same. Definitely reduce. Otherwise, the amount will escalate. So you just sit and balance like that. So, I think that's unless if there's any other.
Why is it that topic content learning outcomes comes before the content?
Yeah, may I answer that, please?
Yeah.
Now, we said yesterday, if you have to develop a program, I'm beginning now from the program. If you have to develop a program, let's say you want to start a program of entrepreneurship. You want to just sit in your office and say, now let me design a program for entrepreneurship. It begins with the stakeholders, the community that you want to serve. What is required? What is missing? Yes. What is missing and what do you want? Rather, what is missing, then how can I bridge the gap? So you identify the gap and then you design a program that will bridge that gap. That is number one. So you find that people need this. Maybe in the Kawarore they are growing coffee, they are doing work, but they don't have experiences in how to manage and so on and so on and so on. And so you want to develop a program in agriculture. And you find that even the institutions around, no institution is teaching that. So you'll be like, and there are people that are interested. That is needs assessment. Then you ask yourself now, if there is this gap and there is this that is missing, what is required to make sure that this gap is bridged? Now those are the program learning outcomes. And then after seeing what is required to make this person that will bridge the gap, the learning outcomes, you ask, what will I teach to make sure that this person becomes what I want the person to be? So you begin with the outcomes of the person you want to make, and then see what should I teach this person. You don't begin with what I needed to teach, and then make the person. You see what the gap is, what is missing, what is required, and then be like, what should I make this person to be? And then develop the content. I hope we are there.
Yeah,
so the outcomes come before the content.
The only time that I have is because the way you're explaining it's coming out as if it's values and actions.
No.
The statement.
The way you're explaining the setting of outcomes, it's coming out as if you're touching the side of values and actions.
But the outcome is not an idea of what we get.
But no, the thing like this, only that I've not put examples of this, because I've given this.
The values and attitudes,
Just because
give
of
an
the
example, but the other spaces are
They are specific.
Okay, maybe the last thing on the comment on the paper is why are we combining topics? I thought that there are two different forums.
No, you can say topic. You can say like have like electricity, and then you put the full column, and then you talk about steady current. Yeah, you don't need to
create
print so many.
and then they go
You can have a topic, then you can list under it the sub.
I normally tell learners because they are old. I normally tell them that if I give you some work to do, even if it is a research report, make it look sexy in quotes. Attractive.
Thank you.
So this concept that we have looked at cuts across. That means you can now be able to develop any other curriculum in any program because now you have a key concept. You know what to consider. Yes.
Hopefully we are going to share this information.
Yes, what we are going to do, all our presentations, we are going to share with the coordinator and then because you're going to do the work.